I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part, more so when it's just the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it's become a common sight after the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way, healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone, and Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me, I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose. Isabella doesn't follow up with her question earlier, but she doesn't raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'd add a quip or two for her if the timing for a joke isn't off, or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to yet. Until Zach gets here, or until I've received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drove back to her tiny living space and slumped down on the couch. She has a couch? Where? Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from that cage I've built around them so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on, so many things happening. The papers we've gotten from the VRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this'll only be proof there might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We'll have one here, but how many exactly is out there? And more importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it. I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca. Zach. Isabella.
They're all depending on me, and...
Ash!
What woman? I'm taking a nap. Voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running and racket inside my head. Suddenly Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I've bent over and buried my head into my hands. Figures why she's staring at me like I fainted or something. Crease in her eyebrows grows deeper at the lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands back up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl into my hands. The scent reaches me first before I've gotten a chance to take in what she has just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. The hell is that? Calming, comforting despite the multitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like a bowl of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go it doesn't look appetizing. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it and milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she has already started digging into hers. I'm just not sure the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her away. She offers no immediate answer, just simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, and her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As background noise, the voices from it seem too cheerful, a warm distraction, if anything. It's only after she's finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then close. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she has remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's a tone too careful, like she's weighing the words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open. Welcome, Thorn.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
Question, what's in the bowl? She returns to her food afterwards while I stare at the one she has preferred not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there, and who knows when that ghost will show up again. Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present we have a chance at respite, maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us quietly, just seating side by side like this without exchanging many words, the intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered the food. Still, in the end, Isabella's never pushed it, rather she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. Hey, Butters. Here, where can I get the cat? Hello, seem chill for a horror game. I'll take it. Little kitty cat bat. Take her offer, I'm not hungry. Take her offer.
Thank you.
The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, the sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give, though we both lapse into silence after we finish our food. There's ease in it, and this in the muffled sounds of Luxburn filtering into the room, and the light streaming from her windows and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. The way her voice falters, and when she tries to form words. Bro, just go, would you like to date? And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the moments to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly after a minute's pause and words mumbled underneath her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there any even left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from Lux U.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
No.
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open. Right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide. She snatches away from me where I placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly along the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too...
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, part of me believes that they're a burden, too heavy to impose upon her. I got half off candy. Hate you. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, and we are not what ties her here, it'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know, and then no matter what her choice will be. There will be people who here whose lives, like her, or presence, and has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology up my throat, an expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a knock breaks the silence, or the moment, and just as fast, both of our attention shifts towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
No, it's a nice, respectful monster that's coming to kill you. Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't be any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of the stone that has been stuck at the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. I told you she came and was wanted to be respectful. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised ready for another knock. Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, he literally has looked the same all book. Ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. Rude! Also panties on the floor. No one notices these. The second his feet crosses the threshold, he scans the place, eyeing what little he can see on the room, or the room from the doorway. Ashton likes Isabella, and Rebecca likes Ashton. It's a love triangle. When finds none of whatever he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His weight shifts at the same time. The stiff line in his shoulders eases once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then. Returns her greeting in kind as soon as he lets out the breath he has been holding, the tension finally off his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
A threesome. What did you think? My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Anselm alone for some god-forsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been giving a warning. It frustrates me to no end that this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah Wright. Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zach made it here in one piece by some dumb luck. He's alright, and this takes one off the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I can't stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in the exact minute, there might have been a chance he won't be standing here. This is a blessing in and of itself. Though, first things first, some things need to be discussed. I promised you wouldn't do anything stupid. Specifically, the elephant in the room, and it's a big damn elephant considering the possible outcomes Zach's cute little plan might have resulted in. I might as well let off some of the steam first before we get to the heart of things.
Zach, we agreed you won't do anything stupid.
Really, Ashton? That's what you're gonna greet me with? No, what's up, Z-Man?
Thought you didn't like Z-Man.
I just biked through almost half of this city to get here. I could use some friendly greetings right now. An explanation would be good too if you can. You weren't very clear over the phone. And I made no such promises.
You said you're not going to do anything reckless. Your words, not mine. What you did is the exact opposite. And that's not the only problem here. Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering. And believe me, I won't be able to do anything if they do. Did that cross your mind? The whole 46-acre lot is a private property. Why were you even there?
I know, Ash. But the people in there might be in danger. You've seen how Hannah's photos turned out. Besides, I was looking for you. Didn't I tell you that?
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went. since that's where she found the letter. Sorry, I was really at a dead end.
I don't know, that underwear on the floor is pretty much a big elephant there. Cute little pink ones. Hey, Isabella, do you leave your underwear just laying all over the floor? Next to all the ramen noodles back here. The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here, and all at once my anger wanes. I wouldn't know, okay? I'm not a woman, I don't buy them. Partly this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't keep berating him for assuming that. And when I've only left him the vague answers. Still.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
All atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head, and then gradually shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for confirmation, like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth these past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all the flashes fleeting across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night.
Everything was quiet except for the fact the thing lured them into the basement and tried to kill them. They went, you know, it was beautiful.
But Zach? At BRC? Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City. Baggers, watch out, can't beat me. Looking for trouble? Better not lie.
I hate your
I'm
fucking
a cool
ringtone.
dude, pretty fly for an
Probably
Asian
my phone
guy.
rings again, blaring its
Sup, I'm
badly
Ash from
sang
Deluxe City.
ringtone throughout the
Baggers,
whole room.
watch out, can't
Both
beat
of them
me.
pause,
Looking for
waiting
trouble?
when
Better
I
not
pull it up to
lie.
check the call
I'm a
ID.
cool
Back.
dude, pretty
I'll
fly
tell her
for
to
an
get here as
Asian
soon as she
guy.
can. Excuse me.
Sup, I'm Ash from Deluxe City.
Without another
Baggers,
word, I
watch
slip out of the room and answer the
can't
call.
beat me.
However, the tone she assumes isn't what I was hoping to hear.
Ashton, are you there?
You were so loud over the phone. Rag at a bit of breath. There's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she was just running a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library.
Why in the fuck are you screaming?
Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is... related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeaker and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying worried looks on their face. I gotta go. Be back later. If you're still streaming, have a good one. Good one. Have a good one, Thorn. See you later. You should
Rebecca's
ease up.
asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca!
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having, eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
No, just bring extra condoms.
We'll tell you once you get here. Please, hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca, the last person I need to account for, yet the call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay. Ashton checked on you this morning, but... He did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Alive, whole, although she seems a bit shaken. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. About the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces, a small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedence for the careful observation, nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much disheveled than usual. Looks normal to me. Hair's a bit of a mess and probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeably once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened and how she ended up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. A grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury. Seems like at first glance, but you can't be sure until after some careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor interior fractions aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their searching mind for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption. Or the fact that someone has brought it to light. But that someone has to make sure.
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with the two more people shooting her concerned looks, she's swift to sort of shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe that when her other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Jesus Christ, will you people just admit there's a fucking scary woman after you and just all of us just get together and go, yeah, there's a really crazy chick after us. She goes around and goes, hey, me too, I've seen her too. How about you, Zach? Oh, you too? Idiots.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but enough to gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. But only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time she attempts to warn us has been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. And after a minute of hesitation, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin started to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
Yes, and how did that happen? Well, see, this crazy woman, she ran at me and she goes, ah! And then she began, speaking of which, wait, stop. So the crazy woman had her hands around your throat, and we fought her off, to my recollection. But you're not bruising there. Interesting.
But she's there? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there.
She gets around.
Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that?
Was she affiliated with ISIS? Seriously.
Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Have you found your gun yet? Shut up, then.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits us all. Dead. Another close call, another would have, another one we've narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked out. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. As soon as Isabella returns and hands Becca the cold compress she promised, she gets straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once that happened. Last night at BRC has been put out under the table or on it. Kick him in the balls. Let's see here. I don't know. Oh, we're gaining with Rebecca again. Jesus. We're almost over 9,000 with Isabella. Hey, look, Zach, we've gained a little. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, and really dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman and his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must be still a way out of it. There must be a logic, be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. 12 hours later, apparently. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of the late afternoon. That's afternoon where you people live? Bruh, that's nighttime. And eventually night, like I said 12 hours later, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smack the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent, along with there's a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
He's only breathed 100 times? Impressive.
Don't just drop it! There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I found myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, can't I guess?
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and G.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from. That's where she came from. Maybe it's just as the professor says.
They did tell me there might be more to this than what I might be thinking.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrow with each line it passes, but linger at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps her an answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean that what happened in the mansion years ago also equates in all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's all the heart of it. And the why, the how, is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by that, what Andrew told Zach, the connection between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. How do I do it? The mansion's private property now. I can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even go begging the right to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's clear, after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that can happen, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for far too long. A break is needed, time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know, I will. And it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. I'll bet unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh, booming noise rendering through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. Oh, you found it! However, before I pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for the break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabella's unusually silent, she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hard and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension, already gripping the place. It's just the guy upstairs. He's practicing, his drumming. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. Fucking stop it! I'm not a trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, it's a smooth surface against my palm. But the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have relief to. I can't take this serious right now.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. At the edge of this is while all the huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door louder and louder the longer I delay. Another shallow breath. I glance at my companions. A nod. And something creaks. Finally. Jesus Christ. Like, I just go over and open the door and accept the fate at this point. Like, screw that racket. And in the next moment, I'm grasping the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... clothing. That outfit really wanted out. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still nothing. No ghost, no woman, not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, and I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up at that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anymore. Not bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, the adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders, and
We should go. Everyone, we need to... Ah!
I'm sit sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. She somehow moves from the closet to probably under the bed in a matter of, like, milliseconds. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. The pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor with the force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment of horrid laughter, yet still unpleasant and vicious as last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Or maybe my mind still attempts to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. And it's in the manner of her gaze bores on me. I'll say the look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of time. That's hatred and malice? I'd say she wants the D. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught, this is the face of someone who you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again, she hasn't laughed once, and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here, not yet. The haze fades from my mind, and instinct kicks in, and then...
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
One powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. In the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person who my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of stairs, and then right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them. In a short while, I'm driving us out of Salem well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even at the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. It's Halloween! Halloween! A dreary downpour starts off Monday. Where? Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peeks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Oh, did he do it with a rusty spoon? Because it's going to be me soon enough. With a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sakes. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far as we all done and just run, snoop around, and read stuff and run again, frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state of my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattering all over the place, piling from the passenger side into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. This is where I would have said, there's something knocking in the trunk. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all. My last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabel offered. And the way I am now, I'll definitely get scalding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take better care of myself and say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining about how dark bags under my eyes are getting there, and about how I reek and how I need a shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins is in my desperation to survive. In fact, I still can't sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and the horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory is enough to send a shiver up my spine to make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. When my dashboard sunlight glints off of Ophelia's surface. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxburn police regulations only allow authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have authorization, but I never really saw the need for its use. When the standard issue tasers are more than enough to incapacitate anyone. No, they're not. If not, I can always throw them on their back, use those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid as its uses too. And a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. Might as well use a stick. It's a pretty mighty powerful stick. However, it's feeling of ease I'm after, or that what little of it can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. That I can protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out of my car, closing behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has been in days. For once, the weather seems to have taken a turn for the normal. Luxburn normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings, inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace, as it'll be my last. But, as with all good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad one. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them. Zach, Rebecca, Isabella. Just as they entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salem, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted for a second, or it's a fitful one. Nothing, but looking at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably. As it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartened mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life and death situation the way they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, and an exhausted curve in their shoulders, dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. Red Bull. Looks like a TV dinner. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be in the same mind, too. Soon enough, they also start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is a shift in the mood. Back to the dismal, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work, the things we've taken for granted. Now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I had to want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damn curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. But for now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face is the answer in the world. I used to think so, but back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. And now there's just uncertainty sullying away whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we're started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll... As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. Nowhere safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella.
How can 4 people not be able to take on one simple ghost? Seriously.
Not to a stupid chain letter. You were too...
Nope.
Too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone. I didn't do it on purpose.
That is true, you all did grab it from her.
Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have.
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it, and both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
It's like blaming a rape victim because they wore something other than, like, a jumpsuit from an insane asylum where you wrap yourself in it. Are you serious right now?
And you're not? I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well? I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now, you're throwing it back at us.
Like how Ash
We
is just
wouldn't
saying
even be
silent.
having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for... I don't know, petty squabbles.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Can you two girls... I mean, this is literally a fight every girl has. Women. Women.
Oh no, Zach! Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already... Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough! Everyone, shut up!
They all falter into silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to the kindling, not in the moment when, any time, anywhere, she might get one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did the ghost mean for this to happen, to divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us and rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all of this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my mouth that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to them. This is more their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one fortunate incident, or unfortunate. How am I supposed to even cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
When my temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. And I'm not even sure what or who I'm angry at. The ghost, at them, or maybe at myself for being this useless. A little bit of all of it. Despite being none of them saying it, I know, god damn it! They're still counting on me. In spite of all my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, the heavy gift, their unwanted, unwavering trust. Yet, it's the one I'm more willing to carry, even though my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Through all the seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at the ghost and be done with it. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed, but more often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by the drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's a very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with the G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help, and in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I'm implicitly placed my trust on will provide some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G as to his regular patrons. It might be rough and around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of the city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after the people important to me, it's probably him. He means well, surprisingly, despite his surely demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week, or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down, whatever inhibitions anyone has, and it also flies straight out the window after a few glasses, and that's why I don't drink. It has made him observant too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for help, and when I'm met with a dead end on a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, though one next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after gotten what much-needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, like prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grabs a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absentmindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at the dead hour, and with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made trips or sat here on the spot just talking with the old man, I've never been fond of drinking in this place. And yet, oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time. along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from his way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precious movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. It's all a lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumptions are correct and that the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened here for him to see the need to visit the place that morning. What if the couple have fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... Fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If logic holds, I need to hurry there right away, and if there are any answers anywhere, it'll be there. It should be there, where all the fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the lines here, there are others. What happened to us? I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them. Or how complicated all this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion. And now there are voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you did this.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Mom? A reminder of what I failed to do, of who I failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining, coiling every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You're doing good there, boy.
Cough drop! His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's a relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in my eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all, even someone who has been such a closed-off or distant like me. And then all the time I've spent in the Force, there's only one other person who is as keen as this old guy. Chief. Funny and weird to some degree. I've pointed it out to him so many times before how much they look alike. Only for the observation to be brushed off like a vehement tone. I've never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is clearly is something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during these times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. Even he has a glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Not with her face. Still a clear picture in my head now.
Heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time?
Well, you see, G, there's this thing. And it was on a letter. It's a chain letter. I'm not gonna show it to you because you'd be cursed and die too. And she's chasing us around and trying to kill all of us. And every person that's seen the letter dies too. Send help.
This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. And Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Please? Really, I could use them right now. Something to numb the senses, but, when does that ever helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslum?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody...
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to the rack on his left. All he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. Probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I'd been put in the same position. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Maybe this is the desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is, the people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Now it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it, and an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Hey G, you want to see the letter? Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. I can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, alright, good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
Shakes his head, but lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. But by now, almost half the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind, used for shots, and stemmed ones for the cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. He's always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
Must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
Nah, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows as it heals. From both of us, he allows it to meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverware. He'll need those too, once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy. A sharp contrast with the strained air we've been waiting through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are, this is almost a gift. So, when it all ends with the loud shuffling of a foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stands awkwardly at the sides as if he's all too afraid to break something. That or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel head first into things or forgo courtesy, despite appearances. Much like Rebecca's mother hinting belies her fiery temperament, Isabella's rare displays of maturity appear at odds with her youth. There's been a lot of things or those in her life, it seems, but more so often I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe it's all exactly why. To some extent there are still some understanding in there, in knowing. And no matter how long we've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him briefly, gauging the mood. Not because the reconciliations is an issue for me. Between us it never will be. But somehow this is another thing I'm almost too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, if this all is going to end another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his other hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has flipped back to the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a full tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
What the hell is sleep? It's a start at least, a stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zach takes it as a sign, relief washes him over as his shoulders relax, and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in the seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it, no apologies. Somehow, that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, but not yet. However, it is less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature, hopeful, maybe not optimistic though. I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it all took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like this occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes sometimes the same tenacity as her moods, Zack has the strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the questions feel so subtle it catches me off guard with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most guarded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had, the kind you depend on when things go sour. The kind that you tell things to simply because he'll listen without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
Why do you people keep going out at night when you know she's gonna strike the later it gets in the day? It doesn't take long for him to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I mean. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one thing we haven't given a once-over: the mansion. Of course, Zack may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zack.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, if that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede. Not with the manner he grips his knees or the rigid set to his
I'm
jaw.
going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zack means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets into a mood like this, he's almost headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Horror movie logic. I want to go with I feel better if I don't have to worry about you. Like that's his whole thing. And I don't want to be an ass. Haha, I was gonna say ash. Ashhole. And say you'll only get in the way. Hold on, if I can successfully blow this bubble, I'll say I'd feel better with you and not in the way. Okay. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and make him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals in the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. And if it'll take is as little more honestly to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man.
Bro.
Zack.
Bro.
Zachary, listen.
Motherfucker, when you need to say bro, Z-Man, Zachary, why don't you just go with his middle name, last name, full name,
I know
social
you only
security
want to
number?
help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own!
Why the fuck are you yelling?
Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zack. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously. This is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at this, the whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found the letter. And our lives are in her hands, ticking me off big time, but the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, no more than so. They're all much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, but born out of fear. So in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly clams up. Although his actions, the restless shift his shoulders, his mouth pressing close to a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note, it all gives way, his real thoughts long before the two words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know.
Or whatever.
You're making your own decisions here.
Or whatever.
But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there.
So you expect all four of us to pile in the car, go over to Luke Wright's house, break in, climb in through a window, and sneak around the house. Okay, alright. This is all dumb.
Please, don't do something like this.
So what, we should sit here for the rest of our lives? In a bar?
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows at the heels of that one of an admission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking, it stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that that's impossible. We're gonna have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside of our heads, the foreboding feeling. A stench of blood, gore, death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things? They will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it's leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us. But I suppose the outcome is more acceptable, the lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
Man snaps up and I turn to him puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
I'm questioning, how do you get your hair the way it is? Like, I'm serious. Like, it almost looks like hollow in the middle and... I'm just curious. I mean, shit. I'm lucky if I ever get one roll. Anyway, from his tone, it almost sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from the person like Zach, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe, despite how dire things are. Just like old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
You won't do it. Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is, how we all are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shoots us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He's obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, alright?
What? What?
You two want to fight? Go out.
Bro, what? What are you on about? A pregnant pause. What the fuck is a pregnant pause? Can someone explain to me what the fuck a pregnant pause is? And without preamble, Zach and I both snickering, and G's glower melts into confusion. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way, better than we part on light terms, so Zach won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. He's seen enough. The last thing I want is a glimpse into a display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from them. Giving Zach's shoulders a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether bearing the stray through thought that flashes fleeting in my head. Zach has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. That is all that matter now. Sun hangs low when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle in the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of decent crowd on a weak start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. One wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover, after all. Which makes the concerned look he gives me a bit come off a bit odd. With that kind of danger we're in, swiftly puts me on the edge even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
She hums. There's an undertone of annoyance in it, despite his usual casual open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by a primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
The question forms in my head, along with a small, confused frown. Though, before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. And the sound of it appears, woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for throwing me under the bridge.
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way. We have to go there.
Oh,
If you'll just...
Lord. The women are at it again.
Isabella? No.
It doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes the kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other silent treatment. Lasts for about a week at most, if it's really, really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us has gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I, because guys just hash it out, man. Women, y'all just fucking pull out the claws, don't you? You just go at it, man. It's almost as bad as if, like, you slept with someone's, like, fiance or something. It's like, Jesus, what are you two upset about? She took a hair braid! Oh, fuck this, I'm gone. Turns out sleep isn't what some of us needed. Even G appears to understand it, in spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, as his hands set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voice are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before, without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with another choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing.
I got you with the bad puns, bro.
Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
Probably not as petty as Rebecca is already shouting like that, but I give him a nod, nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. You say it's a lie. No, it's not. You can't remain still. Always have to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him shortly after, Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once it's over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get this out before it turns into a shitstorm both of them won't regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor. It's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella. I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. Kinda like needing to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, and we'll continue this. We. Okay, so you say that's a lie. What, guys just hashing it out? Most fights I've seen, guys just hash it out. Real quick, I'm gonna send a message real quick, but, rawr. I have to send a message to someone. Fall. Wow. Okay. Relationship update. Zachary's good, Isabella's good, Rebecca is... Like, why does she hate us? I don't understand. Like, Marianne liked everybody. I mean, Marianne was like, yo, I'm hitting it with you, hitting it with you, hitting it with you. Zachary, same. Even Luke hated him, and... Like, the only... Like, Isabella, still, like, just a little shy with Rebecca. Everyone else, plus. Let's check this real quick. Okay, so that was the new one. Okay. I'm guessing that's from Luke's journal. We haven't played Luke yet. Let's check Ashton. We never did. Love between his parents, although he grew up privileged, found joy in a student life. He saw the standard testing system. Taiyaki ice cream? What the hell is that? Like how we have Sherlock Holmes. Justice! Okay, alright, you need to calm down. Alright, let's do this. I think I read this part, but if not. I can't speak for Isabella, I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. From the way she's glaring at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on one corner of the table they occupy, a conversation that's turned sour sometime after a late lunch, son. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. Because in the next moment, before I approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends a silver clinkling sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily, we both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the fact of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this little ghost everything. You're blaming me again. And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess. You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you. If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish. I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
Like I said, women can be bitches.
You know why I had to come here. My dad. Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something that moment Rebecca slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or the second I entered that area. Either way, it's a little too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A straining air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break until the ones at the center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she was grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not even when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there's always been a certain stubbornness in her, as frustrating as it is to see sometimes what has gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only things that has when you have nothing else. People tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows then when to withdraw. When a struggle turns useless, a kind of awareness, almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps away from the hurt, painful words that they've let fly earlier. She bumps into me into her haste, and the impact nearly knocks her off of her feet. Instinct kicks in at the very last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steady grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirroring my Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. This one's a tough one.
You okay?
Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair. Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both their patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say such things, though. My disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arms in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinct, and in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything yet, until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes, and while we stare each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash?
To tell you you're a bitch.
If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Go on!
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca looks to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she's almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something implacably flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what she has shifted, or of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years. We may never be the same people we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out, trickle out instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room and one of the tables set aside beside the windows. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pooling on the surface of the table where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it over to one side to the other without any purpose. A letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there's something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones, the ones where she's still too quiet. The complete opposite of her usual self, but it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence when the softest sigh and the slightest movements sing loudly. The smallest, minuscule things that tell you about the person and her strength more than any other words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly quit or jibs. Back again to what we're used to. What's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey, regrettably, goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far too angry. A bit upset, maybe? Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words are still hid below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she's, she'll start shouting at me. At least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. As if I've just told a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really, no. He needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
And it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, these two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like to, at least, with the one thing to stay normal. I'm going to adjust my chair. Oh, no. I have now become a midget! That was the wrong thing. God damn it. Let's try this again. I'll accept that. So somehow we manage. We continue for the far better of a half an hour talking, joking, and with our short, feeble responses in the banner that never goes away anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos, the death shadowing over us all, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, and when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
Pause. And then she frowns as the realization dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually setting on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake the anger she's trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you! Just leave!
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without a reservation or care until only a familiar warmth lingers, once both of our amusements ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things always have come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If Valeria's been killed, then the one she's sending my way will probably be dead by now. I'll, seeing it directly my way, it only takes a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified like a brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in one voice, too small, too quiet, but when I do turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into the silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then, and how easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve, how she never shies away from the expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Reveal little things that, with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early, or because they're never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in and reminding us of of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
She didn't have to say that.
Small frown returns to her face, although it lacks the same anger from before. The bitterness stays.
And you don't have to apologize for her. If she wants to say sorry, she has to do it herself.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes in an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenching so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point that I always agree with. No matter how desperate I am, it's not going to be simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I told Zach. If there's a need to go back to the accursed place, I'm doing it in my own way. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just going to drag them in there with me. Soon I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. I think she knows it's dangerous. I can't let you do that.
I can't let you do that, Belle.
Ash, the people living in that place now. They were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous. We don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything.
Rebecca really hates us. Isabella is holy mother of what?
What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it. To put yourself in harm's way like that.
She offers no response, not even a form of resistance, no further argument like we've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches on far too thin till the air in the room grows heavy. In front of her, her hands still stay curled up like it's holding on everything she wishes to say but can't. I like to think that yes, to some extent she understands, even if she does not entirely agree with me. The dilemma is clear. Otherwise her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set in it. Her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, or her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed the argument, if she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Instead, she simply offers a nod. And a quiche. And in a moment of boldness, perhaps insolence, I reach out for her, taking her clenched fists in mine and drawing them closer to me. She sucks in a breath, soft and sharp, and doesn't say anything, merely watching as both my hands cradle hers. Cautious, mindful, as if this is the most precious thing I've ever held. And then again, maybe it is. Along with everything I've yet to convey.
Stop that.
Surprisingly, although the gesture has startled her, she yields. Allows a touch that is far too familiar and more than what I'm willing to give most.
You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that.
Gently, I unfurl her fingers, flattening out each digit against my palms. Her nails have already created small dents on her skin, and from how tightly she has held it close, a little more and she would have drawn blood. Deep as it is, smoothing a thumb over the tiny marks does nothing. But it's a small gesture we both find comfort in amidst their chaos, and all at once the tension lifts. Her expression softens and the lines on her shoulders ease, and it is only after her lips curve up in a faint smile that I let go, giving her hand one last squeeze before returning it to her. Part of me wants to tell her, admit that it's exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good will it do, though? I've already told Zach one person is enough. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening the circle or revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. Someone has to be aware, at least where I'm heading off to in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I am only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. It's the best that I simply leave it as is for now. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I stand up as soon as my footsteps shuffle from the next room, in its cadence, slow and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clutching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts a nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eyes. Their fights never did last too long.
Belle, can we talk? Alone?
Her interruption could not have come any sooner, and I'm all glad for it. Whatever friendship I share with the two of them, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider, and they don't need me. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Isabella a quick, knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, before the last imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind, it's another lasting image that firmly etches itself into my memory, one that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Galway Shaw's Monday night crowd, although small and barely occupies a quarter of a whole pub, provides ample enough cover for anyone who wishes to leave the place unnoticed. Just exactly what I need tonight. With the lively music and chatter slipping out, mostly unseen, becomes a piece of cake. Without much trouble, soon enough, I find myself standing outside under the chilly Luxburn night. A gust of wind picks up shortly after I step out, carrying the telltale smell of an impending rain. I give it about an hour or two before it starts. From the looks of it, tonight will be another downpour, maybe even stronger than the one we've had this morning. On instinct, I hunch further into my jacket, hugging its thick material closer to my body while I weave my way through the lines of empty cars in the parking lot. The letter crinkles in my pocket with each step I take, though I pay it no mind as I hurry towards my car. Oh, he took the letter. I've nicked it minutes ago from Isabella's belongings on my way out. If this is all connected, I need this damn piece of paper with me. However ridiculous it sounds, I'm quite sure it won't be missed either. But I can't waste time here and wait for her to find out, can I? 4 hours is all I've given myself to get this done. 3 if I'm inclined to go by rule Z-Man set, but when have I ever? Regardless of how generous that is, each second just as important as the next. So I hurry. One footstep over the other, echoing as I make a beeline for my car. But, as with every plan, problems crop up at the last second. It's practically a universal rule. And it does. In the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. God damn it, woman! Rebecca turns just as I near, the corners of her mouth twitching up in a wry smile. She offers no greeting, except for a slight tilt of her head. Even as my pace slows and I look at her with all the unvoiced questions in my eyes, she remains wordless, merely throwing her head back and shifting her attention up at the starless sky when I come up to stand beside her. Another gust of wind blows as she breathes out a sigh, weary, thick, with something close to resignation. The breeze carries all of it away, while she hugs her arms closer to herself to keep warm, which raises the question why she's out here. The air's already heavy with the promise of rain, with clouds obscuring the view. There's really nothing left to look at but a dark blanket of nothingness. Still, she stands here, as if she's intentionally waiting for everything to fall. That or she's here for some other reason. But before I can voice a single word, express a disapproval of any kind, she raises a halting hand at me, sharply cutting off the rest of my question.
I'm not here to stop you. Wherever it is you're planning to go off tonight, I won't be able to anyway. You look like you've already made up your mind.
Go back inside. It's going to rain soon. It'll probably be even heavier than the downpour we had this morning. You wouldn't want to be caught in it.
I will, in a moment. I just want to stay out here a bit for some air, away from the noise inside. Everything's been so chaotic these days. This little break is nice. Even if it means standing in the middle of a parking lot, of all places. Getting out of this mess would definitely be better, but hey, you take what you can get, right?
It'll be over soon.
The confidence in my own words surprises even me. How do I know? Why am I so sure? When in truth, what I'm about to do is the last-ditch effort. If this fails, if I don't find anything, we're back to square one. It's the last lead I have. After this, we have nothing else to go off of. Regardless, it seems to amuse her, and her laughter soon sounds above the murmur of the distant traffic and the light draft sweeping around us.
How I wish. I'll be content as long as she stops showing up in my mind whenever I close my eyes.
I think that may take some time. The brain doesn't easily forget trauma.
I can try, but, you know, it also did a lot to us.
Tell me about it. The back of my head's still smarting from my fall last night.
Not that kind. I'm talking about us. As people. I hate to admit it, but this whole deal with the ghost, with the curse, it also brought out an ugly side to us. To all of us. And it made me realize plenty of things.
Are you finally going to confess your love?
About myself, about us.
She trails off, suddenly a pensive expression spreads across her face. I've seen it countless of times before, and every time I see it on her, I usually followed by a memory, a silly story, or even something embarrassing I've said from childhood. Unlike me, who much rather forget, and she remembers each of them so easily. And after a short bout of silence, when she smiles, I know this is one of those times again.
Do you remember that one time, back in secondary?
Which one? We did a lot of dumb things back then. Well, I did, but you get the point.
Mandy.
I thought you still don't like her. Don't tell me you've kept in contact with her. Are you guys friends now or something?
Oh no. We do see each other sometimes. On the way to work or when I go out for lunch, but it's nothing like that. We're not friends. Not in this lifetime. I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever get along, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be friends, yeah? You stood up for me that day. And from then on, things have changed.
It makes it sound like I'm some sort of hero. Mandy was in the wrong, of course, I'll defend her. And if no one's going to stand up for her, who else will? Chances are it would have escalated, and who knows, maybe she would have stopped going to school or transferred. Any decent human being with an ounce of sense should know better. I acted because I know what I'm doing is right. It's as simple as that. Yet she smiles as if it's worth more than that, a fondness that goes back beyond nostalgia.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is, this time, I I don't want this to go unsaid. You know, just in case something happens, Ash, I've always been in love with you.
Praise Jesus! She says it so plainly, holding my gaze in a voice too frank that her admission stuns me into silence. Like the wind is suddenly knocked out of me in one fell swoop. No words will form, not even a single coherent thought as the meaning of her words bear down on me. Nevertheless, she continues, desperate to express everything she has kept to herself all these years. This is what fondness is. Why, for her, it weighs heavier than any feeling of nostalgia can carry.
Since that time in secondary, since I made that promise to never leave, I've always truly loved you.
Afterwards, there's a relief, a weight suddenly being lifted from her shoulders after so long. She closes her eyes and lets out a breath. As she looks back to me, though, there's nothing but hope in them. Eyes that are searching for an answer. Facing the sincerity behind her words, I find myself grasping, scrambling for words. Because as much as it pains me to admit, I can't give her the same affections she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. Hell, we practically grew up together. But that never automatically means I'll ever hold for her feelings that goes beyond boundaries of friendship. I do appreciate her presence in my life. I'm more than glad she has stuck with me, even through the toughest of moments. Even when she finds me difficult or aggravating. However, it's really all there is to it. She's a close, important friend to me, but nothing more.
Rebecca, I
draw in a breath, ragged and unsure, uncertain which words to put together, so I will hurt her less, so the wounds they might leave won't be deep or scarred. I got an idea. Why don't you say we'll discuss this later, and, after I get back from what I'm gonna do, and bye! So it doesn't, cause her to go over the deep end while you're gone. Though, before I can even string two phrases together, she shifts a hand to my mouth and silences me. The smile's on her face, kinder than every single one I've ever seen from her so far. It's nice to see it on her. It suits her more than the glares or the frowns. But at the same time, it only serves to baffle me.
You don't have to answer me.
Yeah, but you should... I should...
No, I mean, you don't need to.
Okay, now I'm really confused. One moment you're saying you've been in love with me since secondary, now you're telling me to shut up?
If you want to interpret it like that, all right.
No, really. Some explanation would be nice, Becca. Because a lot of things are going on right now, and I'm afraid I can't catch up. Especially with this curveball you just threw.
It means what it means, Ashton. You don't need to answer me. I don't really need to hear it anymore. It's not that I don't want to. Believe me, if I were the same person I was before this whole thing happened to us, I'd be elated. Excited, even.
It's closure.
But, like I said, I also realized some things. Understood myself more. Ash, I did love you. Ever since we were kids, all those times you defended me from bullies. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Even after this. But, at the end of the day, once you take a closer look at everything, it also turned me into a really selfish person. When you think about it, maybe the Ashton I loved isn't the one standing in front of me right now. Maybe all this time, I'm still clinging on to that aloof kid I met 17 years ago. I didn't even consider that you have a mind of your own. That one day, it won't just be the two of us. That you'll find someone else and it won't be me.
I'm sorry, Becca.
I'm not even sure what I'm apologizing for, that I can't return her feelings. Or because I'm somehow holding myself responsible for this, even if up until now, I have no idea how she felt. Because you're dead! Regardless, she continues to smile through it all.
It's not your fault. Don't say that. I'm the one who should apologize. Since I suddenly sprung this up on you when you have other things to do, I just thought I should let you know, so I can finally let this whole thing go. One question, though. Are you going to tell her?
Tell what to who?
I pause, frowning a brief moment of doubt while I try to figure out what she's talking about all of a sudden. When it finally sinks in, through my bewilderment, it hastily gives way to utter embarrassment.
Oh.
Oh!
Oh, shit.
Heat abruptly crawls up my face, no matter my efforts to keep it down, and in the end, I can only look away from her, afraid of what else she'll see in it.
Did you really think no one would notice?
Was it that obvious?
It was surprisingly easy to tell, but that was probably because I've known you longer than anyone.
Fuck, who else knows?
I
Zach.
think Zach suspects.
Shit.
You're embarrassingly lame when you're trying too hard. It's almost painful to watch. Don't worry. With your terrible way of flirting and knowing her, I'm quite sure Belle has no idea, even now. Not even a clue.
Harsh, Rebecca. Really harsh. I could use a vote of confidence, you know.
She laughs loud, the kind that's free of any burden, ringing above the wind, slowly picking up as the storm clouds approach. And with it, however, the awkward atmosphere lifts at last. There's only a camaraderie we've shared since meeting in the classroom 17 years ago.
I'm serious, though. Tell her. And if you ever make her cry, I'll hit you with every damn history book I have on my shelf. Clear?
Noted, ma'am.
Anyway, thanks for hearing me out. I won't keep you long. I know you have things to do. Just promise me you'll be careful, all right?
She doesn't even wait for an answer. Instead, she gives me a push with a force only heavy enough to throw me off balance. Caught unawares by the gesture, for a few moments I fight for purchase against my car's trunk, bracing my hands on its smooth surface. When I look up with a string of reprimands ready at the tip of my tongue, Rebecca's already halfway through the parking lot. There's a small skip in her steps, while the breeze carries the light tune she's whistling. On a whim, I let its notes be the last I commit to memory before slipping inside my car and driving off. It sounds like a new beginning, more than anything. Another reason to be optimistic. Within 10 minutes, I'm driving out of Luxburn and heading straight for Anselm Village. In the distance, flashes of lightning light up the horizon, white and sharp against the black curtain of the night. Thunder threatens with rumble, seconds later echoing long across the sky, and with one last roar, the skies open up in earnest. Wow. This place has suddenly gone to shit. Really. Rain falls fast, steady sheets creating shallow puddles on the dirt path, drenching everything the eyes can reach. Despite having grown up in the city, I still despise the rain. Living here doesn't mean I have to like it. Lucky me, I've reached the mansion before the downpour has turned torrential. The long slog from Anselm Village by foot has already been made difficult by the light drizzle and biting winds buffeting my body every few seconds. By the time I found cover under the trees lining the vicinity of the mansion, my shoulders are already drenched. Did you not have an umbrella in your car? My hair is also sticking against my skin and held in every possible direction. Thankfully, the letter, taser, and gun I brought with me has remained relatively dry. That's the most important thing. However, those are the least of my problems at the moment. Sometime after the housewarming party, scumbag Wright has suddenly grown a brain and tightened the security around the mansion. A guard is now stationed in every possible point of entry. The main entryway, the back door leading to the kitchens. Hell, it's almost a miracle no one has spotted me once I entered the property, although that's probably because I've kept close to the forest. While I can always create a clever way in for myself under the deluge, it'll be difficult to do so without making much noises or leaving tracks.
I don't really have the luxury either, do I?
Considering how off this place feels since I've stepped into the property and mansion, came into view. Every light is off, even with the security personnel outside. The whole house itself, it feels empty, eerie, too quiet. Terminology can't be using. Normally I'd pass it off as some kind of power outage because of the storm. Not a far-off conclusion when this place is almost in the middle of nowhere. However, something just feels wrong.
Something happened here.
You don't say. It's weird how the mansion went from pristine looking to wholly run-down shit. Or about to. It's the sole reason why I haven't done anything yet. Simply observing, watching, listening for anything. I might be pressed for time, but I'm not a careless idiot. Although I need a way in, desperately so, moving without thinking will not only endanger me. With so many unknown variables of what we're dealing with, I also have to act on an assumption that someone is always in danger, especially in this place. I can't act impetuously. As much as I hate Wright, I'm not about to cause his death because of one thoughtless action. If there's a place he deserves to be, it's a prison, not a morgue. So when a hoarse, painful sob suddenly rings out above the loud pitter-patter of the rain, only then do I stir. A woman. Perhaps a servant? Or worse, Hannah Wright. No, it's not Hannah Wright, you dumb prick. Holy shit. It's coming from the forest? Just right up ahead, in fact. Not too far from the house. Regardless, I give the place a quick, wary glance before following the noise. Carefully keeping to the shadows, one cautious step after another. Louder and louder it goes as I near. You dumb mother... This is why he's dead. Until it abruptly turns into a loud, desperate, anguished cry. I break into a run, one nervous hand ready on the gun holster at my hip, the other raised for balance as I scurry across the dense understory. Dead leaves crunch under my shoes, but I pay it no mind. There's only the voice, the woman, and nothing. Abruptly it all stops, and I am met with a sudden hush. Blank, empty, almost deafening in stillness, even with my labored breathing and pounding heartbeats against my ears. Behind me another branch breaks, and... Nope. Nope. I've watched enough Blair Witch and played it to no. Dread surges within me while I spin around and take a hard step back, ignoring chilly pinpricks crawling at the back of my neck. But before I can meet her eyes, the world unexpectedly pitches sideways, tilting till the ground beneath me finally crumbles. My hands fight for purchase, only to be there. By then, it's too late. My foot slips further and the rest of my body follows. Sweet mother of Christ, this dude and falling. You are the most clumsiest ass fucking detective I've ever met. Like, you put her... Like, Sherlock Holmes is just sitting there going, Dear Watson, this is the dumbest man I've ever met in my entire life. Dark spots blur the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo from the distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. But more than that are the voices, lacing venom inside of every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride. Over. It's because you didn't listen. And over. It's all your fault. And over again. Why can't you believe me? A reminder of what I failed to do and who I failed. What I'm trying desperately to fix. A scream threatens to burst, my throat closes off ever so slowly, a chill seeps into every nerve of my body, washing away every sensation in me, apart from one. There is only fear. Once again her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It's the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Welcome to the dungeon! We got fun and games! Half darkness greets me when my eyes finally snap open. The soft patter of dripping water somewhere, spurring my consciousness further. For a few short moments I remain still, blinking away the dizziness, allowing my vision to adjust to the lack of light and breathing to even out first before pushing myself up to one arm and attempting to stand. Turning alone is a struggle on its own. An inch of movement sends a stab of sharp pain right up my arms and my back, giving me another pause.
Shit. I hope I didn't break anything. Fuck.
There doesn't seem to be an injury or major fracture, although the whole of my back does feel sore and raw, only from where I've skidded down prior to landing myself here. A comforting thought. A second attempt comes easier later, but though no less painful. And by the time I'm back on my feet, the exertion has left me gasping in short, shallow breaths and leaning heavily on the wall nearest to me. Behind me, a light draft blows in from where I've fallen in, coming in short, sharp bursts into what apparently an underground tunnel, and brings in fresh, earthly smell of rain from the topside. Regardless, it fails to match the old, musty scent of the place, a mixture of mold, mildew, dust, grease, and something distinctively foul, like death. More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside of most of them, but I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment. Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not, unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I don't really think so. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He's probably balk at this, move out of the first opportunity and have it demolished. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though, if this is just the tip of the iceberg, I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself, the tale behind the fucking letter. But fear is inconsequential and unpleasant as the sight of this. This place might also be the only way to get me inside unnoticed. Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, I push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's just hope it'll be smooth sailing from here on.
Turns out that alone is much too much to ask this early. No, 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises from the footfalls, rebounding off the walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady, until the tips of my fingers brush the gun's handle. Although the cold against my skin is the closest thing to comfort I have at the moment. For a long moment, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, shadows of the corners of my eyes for any movement. After a heartbeat and nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Perhaps it's because of what happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. Weak.
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
LPD. Open up. I don't know what to tell you. It's only after I release the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that! Who are you? Show yourself!
I can't! I'm stuck in here!
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells ahead, and waves, and then she pulls back, grips the iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out! Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and I'm sure enough a woman's inside. Slumped on the floor, holding the bars with shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. And not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
McLaughlin, she's a sponsor of McDonald's. The same one I met at G's 5 days ago. Smash drunk, babbling her frustrations about her employer.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things. Her breathing shallow, and there's a paleness to her complexion. Sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin, all signs pointing to starvation and dehydration. Yeah, that's what happens when you're down in a cell for several days, not eating or drinking.
How long have you been stuck in here?
It's one of your first questions?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in, and that woman... Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
In a moment. But here, go feed yourself first before you fall over.
Dude just has candy bars on him at all times. Like, I fish an energy bar from my pocket and hand it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar can keep me going. Yang bar! Like, I can't. I can't. That just did it. That broke it. That broke it right there. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away and taking in whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she said was true. But for the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have the sense to prioritize survival over comfort, if the puddle on the corner of the cell indicates anything. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days, no food, and it'll give an average of 3 weeks. And even then, it's not a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Had to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here, not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at the precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gates to the cell together. Even without special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Don't ask questions, just enjoy your candy bar.
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe, anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find most people would call 911 and be like, yo, this is Detective, I need some assistance at this residence. I found myself in a tunnel and women down here in cages. Thanks. Yeah, I'll wait here. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here, however Macaulay ended up inside. My head snaps back to her. Macaulay extricates a wooden board from underneath the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through with little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
Upon closer inspection, Walton, this will do great. I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak. In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually all lifts off its hinges. It falls on the ground with a loud, ugly, metallic thud, but the second off, it puts an elation on Macaulay's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she has accidentally found herself in, more than happy to get out of it despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there.
You look like you haven't lost a pound. You're fine.
If you didn't show up, today, I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
You even still have makeup on! For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away, fumbling awkwardly with her fingers.
I was looking for someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eye, something that's too close, wistful, like a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her, I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry, and I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans!
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here! People died in this place! Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me.
Finally, the first person in this goddamn thing that just says, you know what, we just met. But this fucking thing's trying to kill me. And I swear to Jesus Christ, like, the first person who's done it just blurted it the out.
But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
I think this woman's slowly gotten off her rocker, too.
Mikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh, God. Oh, God. Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
Mikala!
She's off her rocker. Abruptly, she stops, looks at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it too many times in these past few days, with my own friends even, to know she's seen things, the kind that easily make a person go mad, and perhaps we slowly are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet?
Are you sure you haven't?
An exit's right here!
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord. She falters, goes quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't even have to go with me, only tell me enough info so I can figure out it on my own. She can always leave back afterwards, be done with this whole damn mansion and the letter. The other end of the tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. Question. Isn't the thing that goes around killing people on the other side of that tunnel in the forest waiting on you? All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then, without another word, she gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Occasionally she'll stop, find purchase on a wall to catch her breath, but throughout the walk she asks for neither a break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually we get to a dead end, although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall, tracing her fingers along the weathered edges of the brick with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for silence, and continues searching. And then, without warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the walls, liquor barrels for aging. The wine cellar, indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare. But after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages? I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her to the undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave for this kind of adventure, the stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects to put behind bars, justice to serve, and I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. We leave the door open in case there's a need for a quick exit. Especially after she mentions it's the only chance she was able to open the door last time. We can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. There's bound to be, with me feeling this high, strung, and tense. I'm not even sure why I thought it'd be a good idea to enlist Mikala's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Did you say something?
Mikala pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard...
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time I'm sure. There's really a voice well, voices. Despite the look of protest McCullough shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surrounding for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor, and right on the biggest fragments, they speak. All singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo throughout the small undercroft. Murmurs, laughter, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice in my head, taunting me.
You dragged another person into this, Ashton.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own. You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first instance, I've answered. The very second denial has slipped from my mouth. Their words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to be prod and rouse my temper. Despite knowing that they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I hope I've long buried.
Are we? Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time? Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder, to know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late, and you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends. Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring the right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together. No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are. You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity it knows, to hear it said it's my friend's voice, even more so. But what I hate above all is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save anyone.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore!
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
It laughs, sharp, piercing, as it sounds. Something in me snaps, or rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision, and the next thing I know, I'm raising my hand, and something grabs my wrist, followed by a buzz as another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts. Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding with every sense, and all at once there's a deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, the faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist and to keep me from hurting myself. In my hands, a shard, blood dripping from where it has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears beyond my sleeve. Not too deep, negligible even. There is pain, however, a different kind, an ache somewhere else that stems not from the wound, but every single word is hit. Even as I glance up at McCullough, she merely stares at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it! No matter what happens, don't do what it says! It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavily. Perhaps weighted with her own guilt that this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off with another comment, but there's worry in her eyes as she gives the fragments one last glimpse. On the ground, they lie lifeless now. No more voices, no more insults, but even as I walk away, one whispered taunt continues to ring in my ears.
It's useless, Ashton Frey. You aren't going to die. And you are going to die alone.
A fear. One that has long kept in the darkness, the darkest places in my heart. One that a small part of me wishes for. The trapdoor swings open without much fuss. It isn't even locked. Probably left open for even Wright's asked for a midnight snack. I make sure the coast is clear, of course, before I pull myself and help McCall up. The butler of theirs is nowhere to be seen. Probably sleeping, attending to his master, doing some extra late-night work before turning in for the night. Meanwhile, Wrights won't touch anything to do with their menial chores, not even with a 10-foot pole. It's next to impossible for him to linger here. No servants, no anyone. It's just as easy as that. We're in. Gently I touch the hatch. If things go well, the same path will be our way out. If our luck doesn't hold, that's not an option now, is it? I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think about what might happen. Sometimes it's best if we simply revel in the little victories. There are great blessings when everything else is going against you. And in a place like this, fraught with unknown dangers, it's feeling that lasts only but a second. Suddenly a sob. No. No. I give two shits about sobs. Nope. Ringing out from some distant part of the house, echoing through its empty halls. Beside me, slumped on the ground, pale and breathing heavily, McCall immediately tenses. Her eyes will go wide. She grips the side of the counter with a force that might even be enough to crack it, if only she has the strength. As it is, she can barely stand. She hasn't fully recovered. Makes sense of the 3 or 4 more days without proper food or water. And if the weakness that puts her fear in her eyes, she's aware. If something happens, if there's a need to run, she won't be able to. She's a liability at this point.
Holmes, I really don't think going any further is a good idea. Look at this place.
I agree.
Everything seems fine. Nothing's off. Maybe we should just go? I really don't like the sound of that.
You really don't have to come with me. Just until the kitchen, yeah?
We're in the goddamn kitchen.
We're already here. You've done your part. From here on, I'm going on my own.
Why don't you grab some, like, bread or something? You know, a cup of water. Give it to her. Like, seriously.
Yes, I said that, but...
Can you even stand?
She doesn't
You'll
answer.
only be putting yourself in more danger if you follow after me. You have an easy way out of here. Stay here. Once you're okay, I need you to get yourself out of this place.
What? I'm not going to leave you!
Well, I'm not taking you with me either, lady. So it's here or out there.
You really are mad, aren't you?
Probably all will be, if no one fixes this little curse problem we have.
You think you'll find something in here? This is just a mansion, for God's sake!
Maybe. It's worth a shot. Besides, if what we're hearing right now says anything, I'd say scumbags.
Who?
Right. He might be knee-deep in trouble and he has no idea about it.
McCall still appears as if she's about to argue, so instead of more words, I unholster my taser and hand it to her. A standard issue for every member of a Luxburn police force, but it doesn't take a genius to know how to aim and fire. Even Isabella may be able to use it without training. Yet Miss Interior Designer Extraordinaire stares at it as I'm handing her something partially nasty.
Listen, you want to wait? Fine. I'm leaving this with you. But if I don't come back here within 15 minutes, I want you to backtrack and get the hell out of here.
Are you daft, Holmes? I already told you!
In case something goes wrong, I need someone who can tell people what's going on. Who can tell my friends what might have happened here. They're at the crawl. You know the place, right?
I trail off, letting the meaning of my words hang in the air. Plot holes everywhere, yeah. I want to be optimistic about this, really. However, I'm going against something that almost everyone can't quite understand. I'm just being realistic with my chances. McCall seems to understand this as well as after what I've done. Any sign of protest has already died with her tongue, and she simply looks at the taser quietly. After a moment, she just nods. Listen, I've played a lot of Left 4 Dead, to know if there's some fucking chicken someplace, wherever, I don't care where, and she's crying in darkness, your ass goes the complete opposite fucking way. This is the only guy in the world who literally will go to the crying. Because he's a dumbass. Beyond the walls of this room, the cries continue to grow louder, and I take it as a sign to leave. Without another word, I slip out of the door. Like a siren call, her voice beckons. Finding out who that is seems like a good place to start as any. No, it doesn't! I keep to the shadows for the most part, where the thing probably is hiding. Not that there are any need to, the entire place just feels empty. Odd when a house this big should have a large staff. It's nighttime! You'd think there'd be one or two roaming about for some late night chores, or someone seeking whoever's creating this ruckus. There's none, however.
Shouldn't they have security posted inside as well?
Unless there's security, it means the butler, though I doubt the scumbag's that sloppy. He loves his life more than anything. Probably more than his own wife. And the things he's done, he's bound to make more than an enemy or two. He's also the kind who will do anything to keep himself safe. Alive.
I wonder what he'll say when he finds out that there's something not human living with him in his own house.
He'll look at you and be like, you're a dumbass. Potential dangers aside, being on my own grants me a greater degree of mobility, which I'm comfortable with, because that's worked out well. Sure, I could have enlisted McCullough's help. Next to the people who owns this, she's probably the one who's most familiar with the mansion. But the cons of bringing her outweigh the pros. She's better off somewhere, a quick exit's inside. With no tag along, I only have to worry about myself. Watch my back. Selfish, I know.
But necessary.
In the same manner this whole plan is, no matter how idiotic going into this is. Besides, I really don't need a guide when the house's layout is fairly simple. Almost mirrored, with only a few modifications in the rooms. Although I've only been here once, I think I have a pretty good grasp of this place's ins and outs. As long as you can tell which is east and west, it shouldn't be hard to find my way around after the dining room and the main foyer should be next that greets me. Where the woman's cries are leading me. Honestly, after what happened outside, I'm not sure if I should be trusting what I'm hearing. With the whole house somehow seemingly devoid of any inhabitants, I'm inclined to look into this. More than surviving this curse, a huge part of this is my training speaking.
I just hope this isn't a crime scene I'm walking into.
But nothing ever that simple, isn't it? Wouldn't that be simple? Oh man, they're all dead. Oh shit, better call 911. Not when you're dealing with the supernatural. Nope. Because as soon as my feet crosses to the next room, something shifts. And in a flash, nearly without fanfare. It happens in the blink of an eye. I almost miss it. One moment there's red, and the next, I'm standing alone in the foyer. For a brief instant I pause, glancing wildly around the place, blinking twice as if movements will spur the vision back. And yet, you're an idiot still, to this day. Nothing. No blood dripping on the walls, none trailing down the stairs or pooled on the floor, no eyes watching my every movement. That's because you're willingly going to it. There's no point in playing a game with you. Only the same cries gradually growing in intensity the longer I dally, and along with a voice.
Mother.
Desperate.
Where are you, Mother?
Pleading.
Mother, please. I don't want to be alone.
Sorry, Mother's not here. However, Daddy's here. Coming from the same direction I've heard the cries from. Upstairs. The place is not entirely empty, then a better question is now who? Definitely not Scumbag or the butler. I've yet to see hide nor hair of them, and not knowing their whereabouts puts me on edge. I have to be careful not to make any noise or be seen. Seriously, how many times you gonna update the story? Maybe the wife, though one can't really tell if it's her, the way the way out walls echo her voice. Hold on, let's go see. Yep, it's really great. Yep. Alright. Yep. Okay. Nevertheless, it pushes me to move. Nothing. almost taking 2 steps at a time, despite the sickening feeling that something's lurking behind every great shadow, every small corner I pass, as if the house has several eyes watching my every movement, as if something alive dwells inside or behind the walls itself. I was supposed to feel something? Try to shake it off, but the uneasy sensation has already made home at the pit of my stomach. Dread, and it only grows deeper the closer I get to her. Relative emptiness of the place doesn't help either. Neither does the harsh wind battering the windows that seem to be open, nor the sheets of rain pelting down the roof. For a fleeting second, I find myself wishing for the scumbag to simply show up. I don't get too far down into the train of thought. Abruptly, the crying stops, replacing it with,
Please, she's here. She's here, Mother. She's going to take me. She won't leave, Mother.
is Ash suddenly a he? These are interesting questions.
I don't want to go with her. Tell her to go away. Mother! Mother, she's here! Help!
Well, that can't be good. Adrenaline overcomes me in a rush, and in no 2 heartbeats, my feet's already moving, before any sense can catch up, or doubt creeps up to me. My hands ready at the holster, I hastily set off for the far side of the hall, one alarm footstep after another while struggling to keep the sense of panic at bay. A door lies ajar at the end and coming from the floor above.
She's going to hurt me! Help me!
I do not hesitate. Moving in despite the lack of light, the steep stairs, or the thick layer of dust kicking up with my every step. I pause only a moment upon reaching the top. And then, without wasting a second, I push the door open. She sits in the middle of the room, shoulders hunched, shaking. Her hands cover her face as she weeps, oblivious to my presence. Nah, dog. Nah. It's as if she heard neither my footsteps nor the soft creaking of the door, continuing undisturbed like I'm standing in a time far removed from her. She doesn't even flinch when I call out to her.
Hey, are you alright?
Yeah, she doesn't flinch, she only stops crying.
Mother, I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Belatedly, I notice the blood in her hands. If it's the same one drenching the whole attic, I'd rather not know. How the whole room has ended up like this is the least of my problems at the moment. Even the single human body doesn't have this much blood. So, bodies? The thought sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach. Does Wright even know about this? He's bad news, alright, but this is beneath him. He'll definitely balk at the first sight of this, anyone will. Yet the woman lingers here, unmoving at the sight, letting her sobs fill the room, repeating the words over and over until, like a prayer of salvation, to whom? The mess of parchment she has left on the floor. Just what the hell is happening?
Hey, lady, are you?
The rest of the question never makes it out. I don't even see it coming. Should have been more aware and on guard, really. You are the worst detective ever. But there's little I can do when a well-placed blow to the back of my knees makes me stumble. The momentum alone sends me reeling forward. It barely even registers in my head that the woman's gone and the room's normal as it can be. Not above the pain suddenly shooting up my side when I hit the floor. I don't even get the chance to get my bearings back when a hard enough blow to the stomach causes me to buckle down and I land heavily on my knees. Gasping, I fumble wildly for my gun. Although before I am able to turn, level it, and shoot, a hand grabs my wrists and twists it hard. A gasp, a grunt. A cry of pain slips past my mouth. The gun falls to the floor with a thunk. And as soon as it lands, a foot kicks it out of my reach and slides it uselessly under the bed. Agony suddenly explodes in my chin, jerking loose a sharp cry of pain, and stars fill the edges of my vision. A brief moment of regret hits me for leaving my taser with Makala when a piece of cloth closes around my neck. Without warning, my attacker pulls tight. I'm left gasping, choking, clawing for air, blindly reaching behind me as I tried to fight him off and loosen the pressure on my neck. Except any kind of movement only causes him to pull it taut.
My, so many rats scurrying about in this mansion lately.
It's the butcher. Or the butler. Right, it's butler.
Tell me, what did you do with the madam?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did something happen to Hannah Wright?
Let go, you asshole.
Now, Dummkopf, you're in no position to be rude. Last time I checked, I'm not the one breaking into other people's homes. Now answer my question. What did you do with the madam?
The pain rings and resonates through my already sore body. Still I manage to ride it out and spit a mutinous.
Fuck you.
Keep that dirty mouth babbling and you're getting a knife in the kidney. I assure you it will be more painful than this.
He really doesn't need to threaten me by now. It's all too much to bear at this point. My lungs feel like they're burning with the lack of air. Dark spots begin to fill the edges of my vision. For so slowly the world around me dims. My consciousness rapidly slips away from me. And without meaning to...
Get away from him!
Isabella? Hearing that voice as if it's been doused with a bucket full of ice-cold water, familiar, too familiar, and more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here, meaning my eyes snap open. And right there, on the attic's doorway, stands Isabella of all people. With a taser, no less, and a pin roller. A rolling pin in one hand and a standard-issue police taser on the other, my taser. She must have borrowed from Makala. Where else could she have gotten one? I doubt she ever used one, even hell. The way she holds it right now, the guy can easily disarm her in one hit. But there's something in her eyes. Although there's like a look of fear in them, her hands shake. She keeps the weapon trained and pointed at the scumbag's lackey. Untrained or not, she's not even planned to leave here without putting up a fight, it seems admirably, really. But it's not just something we need right now. I need her to be away from here. I need her to be safe, but the chances of that happening grow slim with every laughter that slips from him.
Oh, this is just getting better and better. The Bratwurst won't be pleased with the number of bodies we have to dispose of today, you know. Tell me, how many of you are there? So I can prepare the proper number of bags.
Damn it. What the fuck is going on? Why is she here in the first place? Did she follow after me? Who else came with her? Zach? Rebecca? Are they— Motherfucker, stop it! Panic surges within me and she knows how bad the situation is, but did she really have to run in here and expose herself like that? Does she even know how to use a taser? For fuck's sakes. More than running for my life, it's her I'm concerned about. I'm getting strangled, dying by choking. Isn't part of the plan, but her following me here isn't either. This is why I prefer to do things alone. This is why I'd rather be the only one to take the consequences. I don't even want to think about what this bastard might do to her after he's done with me. Though my voice comes off nearly as a croak, I tell her as much. She has to leave. Stay far away from here and these people.
Don't! Damn it, Isabella!
Okay, why did you need to spam me with updates? Seriously. That was it? That was fucking it? Oh my god.
Get out of here!
Another bout of pain erupts in my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood in my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel being coiled around my neck. Can you please pull the goddamn trigger already so you can fry one of the two so this can be done?
Ash?
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Get out! 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 Val!
Don't be stupid! I'm not leaving you here!
Pull the fucking trigger. The way each note beats against my ears in spite of the warmth and them sends chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
I'd follow his advice if I were you, little girl. What could you possibly do with a toy? Just hand it over and be on your way. It'll probably be too difficult for a little girl like you to use.
There's a moment of silence. Look, I can barely keep my eyes open, but in the next second, though, I still don't exactly understand what's happening. Isabella shouts. Not a cry of pain, not a yell of panic, but one that's resolute. Firm. Perhaps in a tone that's leagues fiercer than any I've ever heard from her.
Try me! Ashton, duck!
I do. Or of instinct and desire to survive, closing my eyes before my mind can fully process what's going on. It all happens in a blur. The telltale sound of a taser being discharged resounds through the room. The air crackles. Something whizzes by, almost too close to my ear, followed by the thud of something blunt connecting solidly with another object. The next thing I know, the towel strangling me has started to loosen. I collapse on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. From my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and sound slowly filtering back, my butler buckles, he spasms once. No, you keep pressing that goddamn trigger. You just keep tasing that little prick. Dan, without much fuss, falls face first beside me, knocked unconscious by the 50,000 volts of electricity and a fucking rolling pin. No. Keep tasing. Trust me. No, trust me. 50,000? I've seen people get up from worse. Come on. He'll be out for a while. No, you don't know that. I have no idea whether I should start laughing or crying at that. Somewhere in front of me, my oxygen-deprived brain vaguely registers Isabella's form. She slumps on the floor, almost breathing heavily. Right next to her trembling hands, but the taser and the rolling pin lie useless and forgotten, while the mood in the room eases. A long, gradual process of tension lifting. For countless seconds, we remain quiet, with only our short gasps and the sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline ebb away and both our breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse. We're still inside the mansion, in imminent danger. We still have no idea how to fix it. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify. Lightning flashes fleetingly somewhere, white and piercing, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. I stir first, once recovered, having regained some semblance of strength and sense. Breathing still hurts, but it's bearable, as is moving. Although every small motion causes a wince, there will be bruising tomorrow I can manage. Retrieving my gun from underneath the bed is easy, but only with some effort am I able to drag an unconscious man to the far end of the room, snapping one end of the handcuff on his wrist while fastening the other to the bed frame. That should keep him restrained for a few hours, in case he wakes up prematurely. The smartest thing he's done all book. All through this, Isabella stays quiet, in fact. She hasn't even moved since. Her hands still shake, taking in long draws of breath while she stares vacantly in front of her, almost as if she's in shock. Perhaps she isn't exactly in any result spurred on only by some kind of desperation. Now it's sinking in. Unfortunately, we need to get moving. We don't have time to wait for everything to register in our heads. Kneeling in front of her, I give her a light shake.
No, we need to go. You can't stay here.
Slowly she turns, staring at me with wide eyes, worry flickering briefly in them along with something ineffable. Then, without warning, she lifts a hand and slaps me right across the face. I don't even have to do it, but the game did it for me. The sound of it cracks the air, shattering the silence like a fragile glass breaking. That's the first intensity glare she's ever done. Despite the familiar rumble of the thunder outside, it manages to ring louder above the storm. I don't even know what hit me, until my head has already snapped back and my cheek stings with her anger. And it is anger. in spite of the stillness and lack of words afterwards. Not fuming, though, never fuming, but the kind that burns lightly and soundlessly. A frustration instead of seething rage. One that ebbs just as quickly as it flows, and once the tide subsides, there's only that gleam in her eyes, warm, steadfast, and unflinching. Quietly, I brace myself for the truth underneath that gaze. It slips from her lips softly, nearly fading under the sound of the rain still falling fast, if not for the weight in each of her words.
What is wrong with you?
Belle,
If Zach didn't slip up, no one would have known where you went.
Belle, one person knowing is enough. Any more than that, and
You almost died. He could have suffocated you right then and there, and you could have died.
Technically, he did. Successfully. Your voice woke him from his stupor. You're the Krillin to this series.
I told Zach to give me 4 hours. That would have been enough time to...
It would have been too late. And by the time anyone ever finds out, you're already fertilizer.
She trails off and drags one in-drawn breath after another. A brief lull as her frustration finally dissolves into something more pensive and somber. Her shoulders droop, and through her voice rises hoarse and weary in the next few words. There's only certainty.
You count too, you know? When I said that night, when I told you that I don't want to lose anyone anymore, that includes you. Alive. We're still here, Ash. You have us.
And once their meanings fall, roar. It is not, with the force of a dam breaking or a raging storm, with the gentle, steady warmth of a hearth burning. An ember easing slowly, lightly, rising and giving until all that's left is truth and understanding. Not alone. Never alone. It lingers, even though as we both drift back into silence and our words take root, because in the gratitude that swells after is another warmth blooming. Pleasant, welcoming, like finding home, like finding ourselves in the haze a squall has left, creating something fragile yet immutable in both of us. It's in her eyes, in the way she holds my gaze unwavering, in the way she carries herself despite sitting amidst a place she fears, in the way she keeps herself from trembling and falling apart because fear is inconsequential when people she cares about are at risk. Change. She realizes that now and holds on to it. Another little thing, another small thing from her that may go unnoticed and pass by quietly, but will eventually amount to a lot of things. Tiny gestures that mean nothing at first, but begin to matter to me one day until... oh. Despite myself, a small smile slips from my lips as the same warmth from earlier unfurls in my chest. Unhurried, familiar, and bright from all these years I've carried it, but I have never given the words for it.
Stop smiling like that, Ashton! I'm not done scolding you!
But this time they come easy.
I heard all of it. Don't worry.
Are you really okay? That guy hit you a little too hard on the head.
You knocked some sense into him, that's all.
Here, let me...
I reach up as she extends a hand towards my face, catching her wrist in a light grip, drawing it closer and folding her hand in between mine. Although her expression does shift into mild confusion, she does not pull away like I'm expecting. She simply stares at me, searching. For her to allow a gesture from me that perhaps is too close, it tells a lot for how far things have already shifted in the past few years. Cradled in mine, her hand still trembles. Most of the tremors have already subsided by now, though I doubt it'll fade away this soon. Even as I trace the lines of her palm in what I hope is a comforting gesture.
I'm sorry, Belle.
For what? Is this about what happened tonight? You can apologize later, when...
No, well, this too, but it's not just about this. It's for a lot of things. For calling you clumsy, and careless, and a scatterbrain.
Really? We have time for this.
Are you sure this isn't a concussion?
You would think that, wouldn't you?
Well, you don't usually apologize.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that too. For all the times I've teased you and made you cry.
Unexpectedly, her fingers tighten around mine, or hands falling between us as something tender shifts in the air. Another exhale. Another draw of breath eases out of me, filled with every hesitation and uncertainties, but when I finally choose to break silence, it's only when I know that this will slip past my mouth is the one truth I hold against the world.
But for all those callous words,
Why are we ASMRing this?
despite all those,
Seriously.
there's nothing that I don't love about you. In fact, those things, I love those.
Yeah,
And everything.
really.
Everything that's you.
Really? For a long moment, she offers no response. Her grip on my hands merely tightens. Although my heart's pounding hard against her or my ears, I take a chance and look up. What a good time to bond and confess your love. You know, right when the guy who was killing you is laying in that bed and you're still in a haunted house. Slightly leaning away and giving her a cautious glance, more than ready to hear her rejection. Instead, I find her on the brink of tears with an almost unreadable expression on her face. When she notices my eyes on her, she hastily reaches up and wipes it back with her hands. It does not keep them from falling. Soon they trail down her cheeks, despite her best attempts. To say this is panic shooting right up in the base of my throat is a complete understatement. This isn't how I expected this to go. Neither did I.
Hey, Belle, did I say something wrong?
Why would you? I don't even have anything.
What?
I don't have anything.
What do you mean you don't have anything?
I'm not rich. I live off instant noodles almost every day. I can't do anything properly without someone helping me. Except maybe if it's drawing, but that's beside the point.
And?
I didn't even get to graduate, even if I was so close. I'm not even sure that scholarship will get me anywhere. And ever since I came here, in the 5 years you've known me, I've got us into all kinds of trouble. So why would you even say that? I'm not...
Maybe it's the moment itself that spurs me to it. The desperation, the fear of almost dying, Highthorn. And that I've almost said more than I've usually allowed myself and might as well finish before I lose my nerve. Kind of the reason I reach out for her. Gently, so unlike the way she barged into our lives so many years ago, the way she came and would leave a terrible impression on anyone, really. And yet it's people like her that you don't easily forget. It's them that gradually worms their way into a person's life until the very thought of losing them becomes unbearable. Isabella trails off once my palms brush against her tear-stained cheeks, but she neither pulls away nor pushes my hands off. Rather, she looks at me wide-eyed with another searching look. I only have one answer for that.
It doesn't matter. All of that is still you, and that's enough for me.
No promises, only truths, perhaps, the only genuine thing I can offer her at the moment. We don't even know what will happen or if we'll survive this, so instead of words, I lean in, our foreheads briefly touch, for brushing my lips tenderly against hers. The kiss is nothing but intimate, by any means. There's a brief second our lips touch when she tenses, unsure, a long moment of knowing that to do that with her hands, until she unsettles them, or settles them on me. Slipping it up my arm in a light grip, too afraid to make a mistake or hurt. But for now, it's enough. It's the closest we can come to it. Rather than give out empty promises or grand proclamations, we have this. Something she soon understands as her shoulders ease and she permits me to draw her closer, deepening the kiss. Softly and gently, a short second of simply allowing the world to melt away from us, and this is to roar above everything else. Like every little thing between us that is built up in this one single point in time, a moment that becomes ours and ours alone. Something to hold close until all of this is over. We part later to the sounds of the world rushing back to us, rain, thunder, and lightning, all to remember or remind us of both the reality we have to face. enough to dampen the mood and force back the worry I've temporarily forgotten. Yet, when I glance back at Isabella, all she has for me is a small smile, bright and hopeful. And it is strength enough. One that I can draw away from, and the rest when I rest my forehead on hers one last time before leading us both out, her hand in mine. Power still hasn't come back when we make our way downstairs. Tricky, considering the stairs to the attic are a bit old. One misstep and anyone might end up slipping and falling. You're lucky if that's all that'll happen to you. She might end up prematurely due to the stupid effect. It was going to last 13 minutes. With the stairs this steep, a broke neck has slightly outcome. Thankfully, Isabella's here to guide me through the darkness. She knows this place better than anyone, after all, in spite of all that misfortunes that it has brought us.
Careful, the floorboards over there aren't very sturdy.
Right on cue, the same board I'm stepping on creaks and suddenly breaks. The piece is falling somewhere with a dull thump.
Oh shit. Scumbag wouldn't be too happy about that. Ow, my foot.
See? I told you so. You never listen to me.
They renovated the whole mansion and they can't even replace one tiny part of the house.
Why don't you file a complaint to BRC then? I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear it. You know it was such a rush job.
Outside, the winds have intensified. Even from here, I can hear the gusts battering the window in the attic. Makes you wonder why, up until now, the only person we've encountered from this house is the butler. Although to some degree, that makes sense. He is in charge of running the place. Where are the other servants, though? In the storm, wouldn't anyone want to stay inside? Likely assumption if they're all asleep. The route I've taken doesn't really pass the rooms they've likely assigned as the servants' quarters. However, they have also heightened security. I brushed it off earlier, thinking they'd be posted a lot closer to where the master's rooms are, but the second floor is devoid of anyone as well. As if every inhabitant in this place has suddenly disappeared overnight. More importantly, where's the scumbag? I don't like this. I don't like this at all. The fact that we're here, right in the middle of it, makes me all more queasy. And the feeling only escalates once we reach the landing and Isabella swings the door open. She pauses abruptly right in the doorway that I almost run into her. A look of confusion is in her eyes. She looks wildly around the place, wordlessly taking in her surroundings. With each turn and shift of her eyes, her shoulders only grow tenser and a look of apprehension slowly dawns on her.
Isabella, what are you...
You aren't supposed to be here.
Sure enough, when I look up, we're standing right in the kitchen, pots, pans, and alls. In one corner, Zach and Rebecca watches almost as surprised to see us. McCall is also with them, of course. It's a big old fucking reunion, apparently. Of course, she didn't even listen to me, even if I've already extended the 15 minutes we agreed on. Although color and strength seem to have already returned to her, enough for her to be able to stand unassisted. The empty plate on the counter appears to have played a part of that. Good news, I guess, as the other two, however. Relieved as I am that they all had the sense to wait and not venture deeper into the mansion, I can't keep but rolling my eyes at the both of them.
Zach, I said 4 hours.
I know, but Isabella asked and... Come on, bro, you know I ain't a very good liar.
And it didn't even occur to you to stop her?
We all tried, all right? She was out the door before we could say anything.
And how did you guys even get in here?
All three of them exchange a look. One that absolutely I don't like, and in the end, it's Isabella who speaks up, albeit a bit of hesitation.
We heard someone scream, Ash. It led us here.
And without warning, the door behind us slams shut.
We need to get out of here.
Screw right. I need to get these people out of here. Luckily, we're in the kitchen, and we have two ways out. The back door and the cellar offers. Except the hatch won't budge when I pull it at it, and neither does the back door. As if something has locked it firmly on the other side. Zach also gives it a few tries, but even the bigger guy's strength, it won't open. There's a long bout of silence in which we all simply look at each other like sharing the same thoughts. We're all gonna fucking die in this house. We're trapped. Something or someone has intentionally led us here. But In the same moment, once realization dawns, something shifts again. Blood. In every nook and cranny of every surface, and every inch of the floor. This time, unlike the first one I've seen, it remains, and gradually the whole room begins to reek of the familiar metallic scent, sharp and suffocating. Around us, every object, including the cupboards, has started to rattle as well, and becoming quite annoying. The sounds from outside, foreboding rumble of thunder, and even the howling winds begin to fade away, replaced by whispers, shouts, and cries of pain. Though inaudible, each beat and note bombards every crevice in my head with vague images and sounds. There's no time to make sense of everything, however. I'm already shouting, fueling my pure adrenaline, barking orders and making a break for the door that leads to the next room, the dining. It should take us straight to the foyer where the main door is.
Move! Run!
Right in front of us, the mansion has started to change, and we're in the thick of it. However, instead of the dining room like it's supposed to open to, the bedroom welcomes us instead. An image that only lasts for a second, but before blood begins to seep in onto the room. Okay. Filtering in the walls, trickling from every nook and cranny, everywhere furniture shakes and every beam rattles. Before we can even step back from the horror gradually unfolding in front of us, the door slams shut. A loud thud, bringing a sense of dread and chill creeping in each of us. Along with it, another realization the whole place is reordering itself. And with the door closed tight behind us, showing no signs of budging, even through sheer force, there is no choice but to go forward and hope to all the gods that it'll lead us to an exit. Until then, running is the only thing we can do, spurred by nothing but fear and a sense of desperation to live.
It's useless, Ashton Frey.
But with each room we pass, it only becomes apparent that the house has no intention of letting us leave. It lured all of us here, we've fallen for it, and now it's playing a game with us. A sordid form of amusement. For whom? Their laughters are the only thing we hear. With every hall we cross and door we slide open, the hope of finding an exit merely dwindles. The gun at my hip is useless here. I am useless here. Some fucking genius I am. Some fucking person to trust I am. All of those. They mean nothing in the face of the unknown.
You finally figured it out. Huh, Ashton Frey. Just give it up. All of them will eventually die because of you. And you are going to die alone.
You said that, and earlier I would have agreed, but then Isabella arrived.
Shut your fucking mouth!
You know it's true, though.
All of it.
It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it.
You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to save.
Why does he keep fucking with Ashton? The more gruesome the place turns, the bleaker chances simply get. Wails and screams fill our ears as we pass by, words from a time and people long gone, laced with nothing but pure agony calling out and reaching out to us. Hey, at least the windows are closed, no? The voice is almost too real, as if we're not the ones trapped here. And there are others begging for release from this wretched place. Or maybe it's all just a show. A taste of what will eventually be. Souls forever held captive in a never-ending nightmare.
Mother. I've done it, Mother. Take me with you, please. I can still hear her. She's here. Help me! Help me, please!
Is this what the curse is? What it means for all of us? That the letter, not a morbid cry of help, but an invitation? Beckoning for unsuspecting souls to be dragged into the place's horrors, to be put under centuries and centuries of torment and agony. Suddenly dying a painful death seems preferable, enticing than ending up here, living a tortured existence. Or perhaps it's all the same. Still, hope worms its way into me, not a useful or unusual thing for someone like me. But after going through the countless doors and corridors, every little sign of hope I'm willing to cling to as long as it'll get us out of here. We're back in the dining room again. How long we've been running? How long since we've left the kitchen? At some point I've lost track of time with the windows barred tight and the sounds lifting into the air and nothing but shouts and shrieks. It's impossible to tell. Question. Why don't you grab one of those chairs, okay? And you go up to one of the windows and you go, phew! Okay? Not that it matters when at the end is in sight. Shells and furnishings bar the door, even stained with blood and gore, that if the situation isn't as desperate as it is, I'll find a different way out. But there's still a gap left at the topmost part for a person to go through, as long as you use the shelves to climb.
It's an exit, all right.
Why not just clear the door? From here, I can spy the familiar walls of the foyer. Only relief washes over me. Although my legs have been strained, taut, all by the running, and every bone and muscle in my body aches, there's only easing. A sense of tension relieving from my energy back flows through me again at the sight of it at the end. No sooner I'm leading us out of it. Zach helps McCullough first, assisting her up through the gap before giving a hand to Rebecca and Isabella. The moment the ladies are in, I nod for him to go through.
Ahead. I'll watch your back.
Surprisingly, he does that without even a protest. Not that there's any need to. Some time after entering the room, the whole place has calmed down. No walls, no whispers, just silence too deafening, but I'm not letting my guard down until everyone's on the other side of the nightmare safe. For all I know, this may be just a calm before another storm. Without further incident, however, Zach makes it to the other side and I'm following after him. However, odd this hush is, I turn my back from it and climb up. It's a tight fit, but I managed to squeeze myself in. Isn't Zach supposed to be bigger than you? You did fine. The unease remains, though. Maybe it's like the adrenaline still coursing through me, or how easy everything has been after living through the nightmare, fleeting as it is. But for some reason, something's still nagging at me. Call it a detective's instinct, or my training, or whatnot. I have a feeling something's going to happen and catch us unprepared. Unconsciously, before dropping down on the better side of this dream, my hand shifts to the gun on my hip. Instinct has never failed me before. My feet haven't even landed firmly on the floor when...
Had I known there would be a party in my own home tonight, I would have opened a bloody bottle or two.
Son of a bitch!
People these days, in my own home. Can you believe it? I feel so left out.
I mean, I'm not really surprised. Remember, the butler called him Brotsworth, and he says, you know, the Brotsworths would be unhappy with how many bags we must fill tonight. I'm not surprised at all. Right's behind this. A chill seeps into every vein in my body. All of a sudden, every ache, every pain returns to me tenfold, and my knees threaten to buckle at the sound of his voice. Though it appears friendly, I know it is anything but. One does not spend investigating a man like him for over a year and holding a grudge against him for more without knowing everything about him. His quirks, his habits, and I'm familiar with them all. And right now, Luke fucking Wright is beyond pissed. Shifting his gaze upwards is nearly too painful, knowing the danger. Not to me, but to those who have been lured in here by the curse. The handgun catches my eyes first, next to the swarmy smile on his face, while he holds McCall, Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella at gunpoint. It's sight enough to lodge a painful thorn up my throat. I've been too complacent, too focused on other things, that I've completely set aside the fact that the scumbag will not be too pleased to see us here without knowing our reasons. But even those good intentions, curses, ghostly apparitions aside, we're still trespassing in his home. The question is, if he's aware of the whole thing, of the household has somehow disappeared, and he might be the only one here. Likely not. Fuck. Even with people he knows among the crowd, there's a significant effort in him not to simply shoot everyone in sight.
And really, Daisy? Even you? What would Kylie say?
Luke, this isn't what you're thinking. You have to listen to us. There's something going on here.
Well, obviously. Why else would people be trespassing in my home? What about little Lily over there, then? What's your excuse? Checking back if your clients are doing okay? Is that it? Is this what this is? Oh, we're doing good, by the way.
Sir, please.
Oh, please, what?
Becca's right, sir. We need to get out of this place. You need to leave.
Not a good enough excuse, darling. You people are the ones who need to get out of my sight. Don't worry, I might consider pressing lighter charges for the woman. Can't say the same for the rest of you. But really now, I swear the people of this city need to be taught the meaning of privacy. This is how you want to start the week. Why don't we just go with a bloody massacre if we want to surprise people in their homes, huh?
Casually, he waves the handgun at them. If this is just a mere toy and his words are no threat. Safety off on his, nothing stopping him from pushing through his words. Call me paranoid, but the sight of the gesture, I draw my gun and level it at him, finger on the trigger, ready to release the safety hatch in case things go south. He's quick to train is on me, though. And just like that, we're at a standstill.
Now, Feathers. Manners. You're in no position to be pointing that gun at people.
Why don't you put yours down first, and then we'll talk about manners.
Oh, he talks back. The gall! You know, your kind pisses me off so much.
Shooting him right now would be so worth it. Thank you for subbing on YouTube. With the way he stares at me like I'm a damn pest, but this isn't what I've come here for. I'm not a murderer, as much as I loathe him. I'm not the kind who will kill people in cold blood for my own gain or amusement. The law will bring him what he deserves one of these days. At the moment, however, we're in the same boat with this curse. He needs to understand that. The longer we stand here, the more we're wasting time and losing something we don't have much of. But how can I convince him? This scum is so full of himself, prefers to hear the sound of his own voice more than those of the people around him, no matter how much sense they make. Probably only way I can make him listen is if I beg. No way in hell that's happening. Okay, we have a problem. How am I gonna disarm him? This one's a tough one. Yeah, but the problem is, I don't know how disarming him would work. Like, does that mean we shoot him? Does that mean we slap the gun out of his hand? We call his bluff? Like, does disarming him risk the other people in the room? Yeah, it's... I feel like, okay, it says, before this it was, I could beg him, but he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. Hi, how are you? And just make sure to smack him out of my ears. What was the exact phrase? Maybe I should make him listen if I beg. No way in hell that's gonna happen. Maybe we need to change. If begging won't work and it's something you didn't think would happen... Hold on. Okay. Do it. My life's not the only one at risk here, however. There's Zach, Rebecca, Isabella. Will you stop that? McCall is here as well. Okay, stop that. We're all unknowing victims to this fucking curse, and I'm in no position to pick who's to save and who I should simply let die. I suppose my pride can take a few hits. I can set aside my beef with this arsehole. Taking a deep breath, I slowly lower my pistol. Though still on edge and at the ready in case he does something, I do my best to assume a less aggressive stance.
Listen, right. I need you to...
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy.
I wish you would be a good little boy, but you're not.
Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now, and you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
Suddenly he laughs, almost howling in fact, like I've just told him the best joke he's heard all of his life. The only thing missing is for him to keel over and start rolling around on the floor, all while I do my best not to sock him with the sorry end of my pistol.
You have guts, Feathers. You have guts.
You're about to see your guts all over the floor if you don't stop it.
Did you hear what you just told me? You've just threatened me inside my own house. My own home. You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
He's right on that at least. I might have ended up to like him if I didn't have the Professor, Andrew, Rebecca, Zach, and Isabella. One mistake, and it would have been too late for me. His laughter rings all the possibilities I could have lived, but have never been given the choice. All because I have other people with me, people who care. So, sobering realization, but not so much, when suddenly his chuckling stops and 2 heartbeats, he marches towards me, grabs my collar, and aims his gun right at my head.
Ashton! Luke, no!
Hey, now you two, I'm sure we can all talk about this first.
At this distance, a slight flick of that finger on the trigger, and I will be able to do more than kill me.
What is it that you people really want with me? This is the second time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game.
Well, I don't think begging really was begging. Shit.
Did the NCA send you to apprehend me, or has somebody paid you off to kill me?
Yes! The realtor who could have killed you 1,000,000 times with the food you ate and the party you were at. The photographer who could have literally had a gun hidden in his bag at any time. The interior designer who could have literally sabotaged this place to explode. All these people, no, we waited to get you while you were at your least expecting.
Which one is it, Feathers? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to beat the business end of this gun.
Keep my eyes trained on him in spite of the huge threat he poses right now, because if there's anything people like him, like us, prefer, it's honesty. You don't give that impression without keeping solid eye contact.
I'm not with NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late. If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Why, you insolent!
His finger moves, but I am prepared. My hands ready to reach up, disarm him, and knock him out. If I have to drag him out of this place unconscious to keep him from suffering the fates of every other person who has died from this curse, so be it. However, before either of us can fire a shot or tackle the other to the ground, another voice echoes throughout the foyer. A small little thing compared to the storm raging outside. It rings above it, nevertheless, causing all of us to stop and turn. At the top of the staircase, Hannah Wright stands. To make matters worse, that thing behind her, menacing, rotting, a hand wrapped around her neck firmly. She looks like death. Pale, shaky, red eyes with tears. We nearly don't hear her as she pleads.
Help me. Please.
Outside, another streak of lightning flashes and a clap of thunder ripples across the sky. As if this whole thing can't get any more foobar than it already is.